are the BLERD official podcast. We are live and unsupervised.
Live.
Live time, real time, tornado
Yes.
live time.
Yes.
Yes.
And what I mean by that, our line producer, Dana, we're sending you so much love.
Yes.
10 minutes or 15 minutes before the show, she got rear-ended on her way home. So we are running things ourselves. So if it ain't right, my bad.
Home alone. We home alone. We about to mess it up, Dana. It's about to be on. We got the editors and stuff.
This is our second live show, and so we're live and unsupervised. I'm very excited. But before we go any further, I have to introduce my co-host. Guys, Hilton George, Mr. BLERDCon himself. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, y'all. It's like every time we do this, I say it and I mean it. It's like it's been forever since I've seen y'all. What y'all been up to? How are the kids? And it's like, Hilton, it's been a week. Like, oh, all right then. And here we are again.
Here we are again. You know what though? That's how I feel. Like literally, that is why we decided to go live, because we talked throughout the week, and you sent me something, and I was like, oh my gosh, let's just do a live show because this needs our live attention.
I love it.
Christi Williams, Christi Renee, how you doing? I know.
This girl that gave my government name out.
Christi Renee, how you doing? I know, my bad. They could Google you though and get that. They could Google that.
They can. And listen. I'm not even worried. It's all right. Y'all don't want this smoke. You do not want this smoke, honey.
Right. We are.
So I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good. Now, y'all know I am in the crazy Texas weather land. And so we're under a tornado watch. So I just want y'all to just, if my screen blacks out, just hope that I haven't gone up into the twister nowhere. I'll be taking cover. But other than that, I am good. I'm here. You're right. Live and unsupervised. Let's go.
Duck and cover. Duck and cover. Oh my gosh. So guys, today we are going to do a show about relationships, about love. You guys know it is hard enough. It is hard enough to meet somebody. It's hard enough to fall in love. It's hard enough to make it work. And we are just going to help our fans and help our listeners out, because we know love is tricky. And the reason that we're doing this show is because we were talking, and we all know all the stuff that happened recently with Will and Jada. And
what happened with Will and Jada?
Yeah. A little something happened with them, and we're not going to dive into that. We've already done a show on that. We've already covered it.
Dead and stinking.
Yeah, we slapped it up, flipped it, and rubbed it down. We are done with that. But what we aren't done with is what kind of came out of that. There was a lot of criticism on the dynamic of their marriage. And we know there have been rumors and kind of confirmed rumors that they've had an open marriage. They kind of handle things way differently than we do, or the way a lot of people do. But with this situation, we saw Will throw every caution to the wind because he felt the need to protect his woman. And his career has basically, since all that happened, he's been banned from the Oscars for 10 years. He has like 2 or 3 projects that have been put on hold or iced or canceled. And he is kind of in that weird state where he is trying to figure it out. And Earthquake was on The Breakfast Club. And he's a funny comedian. He's a very, I love Earthquake because he just keeps it real. He does not sugarcoat a thing. And he basically said that he felt that Jada kind of let Will down. Like, she hasn't made a formal statement. She hasn't come and basically said, my man lost it, but that's not him. He's a good dude. He just was acting like nothing. She has said nothing. Will has said a couple of things. He's accepted it. He's apologized again. He's kind of done that. But I kind of agreed with Earthquake, because I know, if your man is in the line of fire, if your kids are in the line of fire, usually you will throw caution to the wind or protocol, or maybe their publicist has said don't say anything. I would tell the publicist, look, I gotta say something. I've got to go on the record and say that he is a good. I gotta at least defend him. I gotta do something. I also read something very interesting. A woman posted about it as well, and she kind of gave a take, which I kind of, again, it was kind of in the same vein where she said, I want to go on the record as a Black woman who deeply loves her Black man, and further say Jada failed him. Will Smith was Will Smith was earning an Oscar, a lifetime achievement. As a couple, his success should have been the only thing on display that day. That man has been publicly ridiculed for years, not for what he did, but for what Jada has done. Yeah. And it says, and on a night of first, the night that man gets to make history, yet again, Jada's shit has made him a mockery. I know this girl, like, really.
Say what you think, girl. Don't hold back.
She did not hold back. She said a confident hand squeeze, a bat of her eyelashes, and a mouth, baby, that's okay. It's about you. Would have calmed him and put the spotlight back on her man and the man that deserved that statue. But no, Jada's love is so toxic. I'm praying for that brother. Her love has publicly shamed that man for years.
Yeah.
Okay, so that opens a whole can of worms, because you guys know there are many, many dynamics in a relationship. Just hearing that, Hilton, what comes to mind? Because you're the one who sent me. You actually sent me the article.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh my gosh, listen to this." And then I was like, "Oh, listen, watch this." And I actually sent you the actual footage of Earthquake. So what are your thoughts?
First of all, remind me to purchase the first of many of your audiobooks, because your reading is so dynamic.
Yeah,
it was not
right.
flat. I felt like
I love it.
I felt like the anonymous
had to
reader
act
was
it
in the
out.
room with us. Perfect.
Right.
But no, really what it was is, I think what it did was it put into context a lot of what we already knew about Jada and Will's relationship. And I hadn't, just me, and I'm just speaking for myself, I had not glued all these pieces together in a pattern that made any sense. Because there's always something going on. I mean, you have two superstars, a superstar family, who, quite frankly, they're overexposed. Like everything they do is somewhere in the media, either in reality shows or movies or specials and documentaries and interviews, et cetera, et cetera. And trying to piece it all together, not just over the last 5 years, but, we're talking like since the beginning of their relationship.
Yeah.
The dynamic is something that everybody who's had any type of experience in love has either experienced or knows someone who has experienced. And that is the power dynamic in a relationship being off. Mm-hmm. And when I say power, I'm talking about one person is more in love than the other person is. And the person who's more in love has to overcompensate and has to really feed in, like, look, I'm in at 75%. I know you just 25%, but I got an additional, I'll give you my extra 25 so we can be 50-50.
Right.
And that means money, and that means gifts, and that means trips, and that means
big
just constant love bombing and just over attention and buying them stuff and just really going over the top. And you look at the relationship that they had, and that was what has been happening almost since the beginning. And listen, it hit me just yesterday. Chris Rock had something in one of his specials, not this last one, but I think maybe 3 specials ago, where he was making a joke that was very broad about relationships. And it's like, brothers, have you ever looked across the room and your woman is just looking at you, like just glaring at you for no reason at all? And the reason is this, because the reason is you weren't her first choice. He's over there looking at you, talking about, oh, I wish this dude get hit by a truck. Just sitting there with your feet up and none of it. Just, you don't know what Earl was all about. I let him go so I could go with you because you were stable and you had a good job and blah, blah, blah. And I think
Yowzer.
that there's a lot of those type of relationships that normal, non-superstar, not multimillionaire people see every day if they have not
Yeah.
at least experienced once themselves. And I think at a certain point, all of the toxicity that people are citing or that they see from whatever perspective they have, and all of the negative effects, where you see Will trying and failing to please and just gush over
Well,
his
just
wife not affecting him or her,
right.
and that
How could
that
you
just
not be
brought that
affected
in
by
there.
the things that Red Table has exposed? Like,
Right,
oh,
exactly. And the
I'm
fact
hurting and I'm
that
not
and
even him.
you said the thing that really blew my mind is that they got this red table thing
Hmm.
going on where they're really combing through some
Deep
dicey,
stuff.
sensitive issues, but
Mm-hmm.
there's no licensed therapist nowhere at the table. It's her mom,
Yeah.
it's her, might be one of her girlfriends, their kids,
Her daughter,
Will,
yeah.
it's just them over across the table talking, but they're not just talking about, oh, how are your grades? And, that time I stubbed my toe and you said something about my mama's, that kind of stuff. They're like really getting down and gritty, and there's nobody to guide them through what is effectively a therapy session, and it's playing
Yeah.
out in real life. And I think
Right.
that earthquake clip just really sewed
Summed it
everything
up.
together in a
Yeah.
way.
Well, I agree. I felt like the earthquake clip, he said something very he brought himself into that situation. He was like, look, brother, I've been there. I've been in love with a woman who didn't love me the way that I loved her. And you ain't never gonna get it. Like, you're never gonna win their love. And I always felt that way. Like, when I was in the bad relationships, like when you think about your life and you think about, oh man, I was young and dumb and I went through these bad relationships, and you really like go through the Rolodex of events that happened in
Hmm.
your life, and you're like, why did I put up with that? Why did I
Right,
like
right.
why did I'm not like, I'm a confident person. Why did I let this person treat me this way? And I always say, yeah, people can be bad, they can be not good for you, but they're only as bad as you allow them to be. Like,
Right.
they have what license they have over your life. And I felt like you said, Chrissy, I think, was the one who said about the therapist. It's like, in therapy, a therapist will bring you all the way down and rip that band-aid off and expose that wound, but their job in that session is to also give you the tools to build yourself back up so that you're not just stuck on that down. And
Right.
when I saw that Red Table Talk and the whole August Alsina and all that, I was just I think the whole world gasped, because we just could not believe that he was like, I'm okay with it. We got over it. We ain't never gonna divorce. And I was like, I
No,
don't
what did they
know.
say? What did they say? They did the fist bump and they did the Bad
Yes.
Boys for Life, but they remixed it and said Bad Marriage for Life. We ain't going nowhere.
Yes.
That was like
Like,
the most
who
toxic thing I've ever heard in my life. Like,
Bizarre.
oh, for
who
life? Like,
celebrates
like
that?
no, no.
Right. And so that's why we're having this conversation, because I feel like a lot of people find themselves in bad relationships and they don't know how to navigate their way out of it. Christy, give us your thoughts, because I know I sent you the link to see what Earthquake had to say. And I know Christy is the poster child of thick show face. So if there is an emotion to feel, she is gonna show that emotion.
No Botox.
The,
No
the
Botox.
raw and uncut version is gonna be on her face. She cannot ever pretend like, you have no cool points when it comes to expressions.
None.
You know
None.
exactly how she
But
feels.
I tell you what, I make my face look like what y'all think. So first of all, God, there's so many pieces to this, and I think that's
Yeah.
also
Let's unload
another.
a few pieces, and then
That's
we're
it.
because I have a whole nother thing I'm bringing in.
Right. And I can't even get to it. That's the thing. My point was going to be, there's so many pieces that I can't even. It's such a shit
She's at a
show.
loss for words.
It really, yeah, I kind of am. And I'm going to tell
It
you
is
what,
kind of a shit show.
even when I start to try to unpack all of the things, and I thought what Earthquake was saying was, that was spot on for him. It was a valid point. I think that I will say this again, and I said it when we talked about this the first time around, and which I had hoped would be the last time. But I understand it's relationship.
We're
So
talking about the relationship, just
we're
the
talking about
dynamic.
relationships in general. So here's the thing. First of all, at that table or things like that, and we try to put ourselves in a relatable position. That's why we watch that show, and they know it. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. That's why they put it together. So
and announced that they were going to have a red table about this whole thing.
Right. And the thing is, there's a lot of psychological crap going on, but there's no psychology. So that goes back to the point of the fact that you don't have, it's way above their pay grade, honestly, to do real healing and to do real rebuilding after you've done all this damage or you've experienced all this trauma. That's talking things out is not always the ointment or the antidote for the pain or the trauma or the wound. So that's all for show. I mean, these people live a very different life than the most of us, right?
Yeah.
So it's not really relatable. It's not really something that we can apply into our own lives. You may get one or two nuggets, right? But that is not really a source for reference, a source for, it's not your how-to, that's not your toolkit.
Exactly.
It is entertainment, people. Y'all got to know the difference. You got to know your place in this world is one thing, is kind of more reality based. At least strive for that, please. And then there are people, those who live in a different space. Again, they made a show out that is monetarily driven. But
I think that was real.
No. I'm sorry. No, the trauma is real. I'm not negating that. What I'm saying is what we pour in and take from, and you can't take much from that entertainment, honestly. I mean, because it's so trauma driven. There's things called like trauma bonding. The public has trauma bonded with the likes of a Will and a Jada.
You better say a word.
People who go, I'm gonna say a word. And wait a minute, whoa, I'm gonna stop y'all right there. Y'all know who taught me that whole terminology?
Well, who taught you that?
My youngest child.
Wow, go girl.
When she was about 15, she first used that term. I was like, that was last year. Wow. So I'm like, I mean, she's only 16 now. So it's like, okay, but that's a real thing. And we do it so often. So all in all, I think that they are incredibly fragile. I think that there's a lot of toxicity. We've seen that video play of the night that it actually happened from all the different angles. We saw her reaction. We saw his. So when we take all of those pieces and put it together, I think that these viewpoints that other people have had 2 weeks later now really does put a lot into perspective about how, first of all, the unrealistic nature of, first of all, what happened at the award show, but beyond that, before that, everything that led up to this point. Again, they put out to the universe, we're open marriage, and I let Jada do what she wants to do, and Will can do what he wants. Y'all put that out there. Y'all were entertaining us, and
it was like a hot pot.
It's gonna bite y'all.
It's boiled over.
I'm entertained, but it doesn't affect me because I live in reality, and y'all created this alternate universe outside of the metaverse, child, outside of the multiverse. You got a whole other existence, and now you've got to lay in it. You got to deal with it. You got to be. I don't know. I think Jada, what she said about she could have had a lot of power in that moment, but she chose. There's a choice. She chose. And even how regal she sat up afterwards, as though nothing had ever happened.
They showed the opposite end of that, like where she kind of laughed after he was hit. Like she was not.
That says a lot. That says a lot.
It said a lot.
It says a lot. But for relationship purposes, y'all need to know out there, those of us, like, again, the real people in the real world, that shit is so unrealistic. The whole thing is so unrealistic. Their whole promotion of whatever it is they do, that whole it's unrealistic. I don't think that's
an unrealistic. I mean, I agree with you. It's not like you, me, and everybody. Like we go to, but I think they are. I think they got caught up. They got caught up in their own. Like I think what was going to happen was that whole, the fact that they really did have an open relationship was about to be exposed. So they thought, let's go on this table. Let's talk about it, because they're, like you said, they're entertainers. They're used to exposing themselves, and it ended up being one of those things where I always say, not everybody needs a reality show. Not, we don't need to know everybody's reality. Like it
Listen,
didn't
even
pick off.
and
It
with
almost,
all
yeah.
and with all their money, to your point,
Mm-hmm.
with all their money, they wrote checks that they asses could not cash.
Well, they
They
got caught
really
up in
did.
their own branding. You know, when you
Yeah.
brand, when you
Yeah.
brand, put yourselves out there
I
like a
agree.
super couple and a super family. You know, I think there might have been this unrealistic expectation that they were actually undergirding the relationship itself
Yeah.
by putting out an image that made them, you know, so seem so special in the public eye that they could
Yeah.
say outrageous
Yeah.
things on a red table. Whereas
Right.
you and I got out on the
And
red
we'd
table,
be
started talking
like,
about, you know, who we were
My
messing
yeah.
with
face.
during that brief breakup we had and all that stuff. Somebody would have came across
Right.
the red table and it'd have been red for real. And
Yeah. Like, it'd have been some
that's the
throwing them
difference.
bows.
And
Flipping
yeah,
tables
you
and
know, and
flipping.
I really do believe, I really and truly
Oh,
believe that, you know, we get caught up in versions of this ourselves, and we
Yeah.
get
yeah.
caught up in, I'm not going to say entanglements, but there are dynamics that
I know
happen every
lots
day.
of
The
people
people
who've
we
been in
know.
entanglements.
Exactly. And I mean, listen, it's so ubiquitous as a
Entangled.
dynamic between men and women who kind of are toxic as a way of feeding whatever momentum or energy there is in the
Mm-hmm.
relationship. Think back to the Five Heartbeats. What was one of the biggest
Yeah.
lines
Remember
in the
that good
Five
movie?
Heartbeats? Where
That
he
Oh,
movie
says,
was
classic.
great.
the dude goes and sees this woman, his
Mm-hmm.
woman, dancing with
Mm.
one of the band members, you know, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, every night I
Night,
gotta
I
fight
gotta
to
fight to
prove my
prove my
love.
love.
But you know that this woman plays this game with some poor sucker
Yeah, all
who
the time.
she allows to come into her space, and she plays like she's down and puts him in
Uh-huh.
a compromising situation because she gets off on watching her man beat some poor sucker half to death for no
Yeah, that almost
reason.
validates her in some sort of way.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I have known people that
Oh,
have been in
yeah.
those kind of relationships. So
Yes.
conceptually, I think we're recognizing in pieces
Yep.
Yes.
what we are
What
seeing kind of putting
toxic,
out and that
yeah,
It's
what these
the
toxicity. Yeah.
toxic
id.
dynamics is. Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
the id level. It's
Yeah.
that darkest level. You know, they talk about that in my psychology class 2 years ago. Like the id is the darkest and scariest part. And
We all have that.
we all have it. Now it you know functions differently for all of us. And so it just depends on what you feed. It's
Mm-hmm.
what's feeding your ego and how deeply it goes in, because the id again is under this other level. You know, it's the
Right.
core, it's part of the core, it's just the deepest, darkest. And so
Right.
that's what I got from all of that. And we have to be careful, like I said, in our
Mm-hmm.
realistic lives, what we think we can do. Some people get a job and don't know how to act. You know, we get real funny. We have
Right.
all the phrases like, oh, they got you acting new now. Somebody got a little
Brand
coin.
new.
You know, right. And so when people start to act different or funny or
Yeah.
whatever, we're tapping into that. Like, you still gotta be living this world. Like, you still stink when we all stink. You know what I mean? Like, you
Right.
just forget. Yo, oh gosh, I think of the Outcast song, Caroline. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
roses really smell like boo boo, boo boo boo.
You
Yeah,
know,
but I mean, yeah, it's an ego thing.
yeah. Well, I think it's an ego thing, and I also think one of the biggest things is that people are just not honest. Like
Yeah,
as you're in a relationship
let's go
and
to
you
that
like
part.
let's say you start off and it's great and it's wonderful and things are good. And then through time, relationships change. It's
Mm-hmm.
everything changes. So a
People,
relationship
yep.
definitely changes. And I think there are times that people change, relationship changes, all kinds of things in your life change, and you don't let your partner, you don't let the other person know that things have changed. And it's very easy to just not say anything. And so then you start having all these issues because there are two different people now in this relationship. And one of our listeners actually sent us in a letter, and I'm
Oh,
going to
let's get
keep
the
it,
letters.
yes, I'm going to keep it anonymous, and I'm going to summarize it because the person said, please summarize it and keep it anonymous. And I
You
just
must have
want to
sent
share
4
my
pages.
story. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Pain.
This is,
I'm getting my face muscles ready.
yes, get your face muscles ready. Okay, this is anonymous from Michigan, right? She
Okay,
said that
Michigan.
she said that she had met this new guy. They worked at the same company, and he, I guess, worked at a different location. So he came and was working at the location that she was at for a short time. She said they hit it off. They talked, they laughed, they took lunch almost every day. After work, they would text, they would call. They talked about, going on this date, because once he was going to leave and go back to his place, they had planned this big date. And so she said he ended up leaving, where she worked and went back to where he worked. He called her and they made this huge plan. We're going to have this amazing date. She was so excited because, and the first time in a long time, this was someone that she had hit it off with. Like all cylinders were clicking, right? She goes, cut to one weekend, I'm home. I'm just hanging out with my girls, and one of her friends says, "Hey, come with me to this barbecue." She had nothing to do. She just randomly went and hung out with her girlfriend. Well, she gets to this barbecue. She's talking to all the people there, and there's a girl that she instantly kind of becomes friends with. And she said this girl just had a baby, and they were swapping stories. She goes, 10 minutes later, her baby daddy walks up. It's him. It's the guy. She said, she goes, and talk about like the truth. Like, how they always say the truth comes to light. Talk about the truth coming to light. The light was shining. She goes, he didn't even look at me beyond that first initial glance when we noticed each other. And she goes, I realized that this was his woman. She had just had a baby. And she goes, everything I knew was all a lie. I like
talking real loud about your twin brother.
Right.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, almost in that letter when the anonymous from Michigan, I almost said, "Girl, run," because her question was, he now wants to talk to her. He says he yeah. that's the look I had on my phone. I was like, girl, I didn't say anything to her because I wanted us to give our feedback, but she said, should I at least hear him out? Mm-hmm. I don't think he has anything that could change my mind, but he said, I can explain everything. And there's a good explanation. No. And okay.
No. Michigan.
No. Run. Just don't listen.
Run,
don't walk. This is
how, and we've even talked about a couple of these shows. We got, Inventing Anna. Yes. We got the Tinder Swindler.
Yes.
This is how you get took.
6 degrees of separation.
There's a part of you, because women and
the red flag is on fire. Like all the flags are on fire.
Heart and head. Women are very, very, very in tune with the emotional exchange between them and other people. And there's a part of her that wishes that were true. That there was some ungodly, crazy explanation that could write this so she could get back to that place where she did feel so, that exhilaration and that anticipation and that connection that she felt, even though her brain is sitting there like, there's a fire, run. She's like, yeah, but it's also warm. So maybe we go in and give the burning building another chance. Maybe if we're not sitting in the room that's right on fire, maybe we could wait it out. And this is how, predators, and I call them that because they operate in the same way, even if they don't murder you or steal your money.
Yes.
It's the same. It's the same.
Women and men do it. It's not just guys. Women and men do this.
Emotional predators.
He wants you to just hear him out. And if he can get you away from the scenario so he can spin some lie, and I promise you it's not the first person, you're not the first person he's done it to, and you're not the last, and this is not the first time he's told this lie. He's just waiting for an opportunity to get that lie out to you, to cast that one seed of doubt, and then create the conditions for that seed to grow into a big illusion, which will be the thing that shades this relationship or whatever it is that he's trying to make. So if you're doing that, if you're even thinking about meeting with this dude for any other reason other than to trap him with his baby mama and go, we'll meet it out back. Yeah, absolutely. In the back room where nobody, sure thing. You call cheaters. what was that
Yeah.
show, Cheaters on Sci-Fi now? I don't know what.
Yeah, wherever
Have them
it's
bust
at.
in there.
Don't be putting that on sci-fi. That ain't on
That's all.
sci-fi.
That's all. That's the only reason in the world that. First of all, why is his number still on your phone? Why isn't he blocked?
Right.
I see.
He
Why
should
isn't
have
he
been
blown up?
blocked.
Why
He
didn't
would
you
have been
blow him up at the
Unblock,
cookout?
delete.
blocked
Like
at the barbecue.
at the barbecue
Blocked
should have been like,
immediately.
excuse me,
Listen,
this Negro. I'm assuming he's
I would
black.
have
It could be
blasted him
wrong,
at the
but
barbecue, honestly.
exactly.
I know you
I-
just
Yeah. That would have been
Hilton.
like, I would have been
Hilton.
like, let me set
Why
the
gotta be our
scene.
cousin Hilton? Why
Well,
gotta be our cousin Hilton?
I would have wanted to set her free too. Because if I now have got my walking papers, let me excuse myself from this situation. But homegirl, you got a new baby. Let me, woman to woman, let me set you free on at least the lie that this brother is telling other women.
Exactly.
Christy,
Because you
that
know
face.
he's lying to her, just like he lying to you. He got a story for her.
Man.
That he done already told her, and now that you're out of the picture, he can tell two different stories. And
yeah,
anyway,
and I get it. I mean, she connected, and I know it's hard to connect. I know it's hard to, but you know what? If you can connect with him, you can connect to someone else. Miss Anonymous from Michigan.
It's hard fishing with this with this blood in the water and all these sharks everywhere. I just don't know.
Hold up. In the
hard.
comments, Shane Williams II said, in the words of Whoopi Goldberg, "You in danger, girl."
You in danger, girl. From Ghost, honey. Yes.
Yeah. And Angela Smith from Crush says, no, run.
Angie, she knows. Come on,
Anonymous.
Angie.
Okay, Christy.
Because that's look.
What's your advice to Anonymous?
We would say the same. Michigan, run. Listen. I know y'all saw my face the whole time. Like, this is some bull. There is no conversation. I don't know you, Michigan. I'm speaking directly to you, Michigan. Yeah. Anonymous from Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't know you.
Girlfriend to girlfriend.
But listen, this is the humanity of it, right? Mm-hmm. For humanity's sake. There's no conversation about this. There are 8 billion people on this earth. There's no conversation that will explain or justify or even soothe this gaping hole I'm imagining you must feel in your existence. It was all a lie. It was all a lie. It was, and whatever you need to do to psych yourself out of, like, look, it was a movie. I was just playing a part. There was a role. Like, I'm good. Whatever. You need to not entertain this individual. That is dangerous behavior. That's an emotional predator. Yeah. There are people in this world who get off on the drama.
Yes.
I know this. Mm-hmm. I lived it.
Oh gosh, yes.
I
Sadly,
know.
I have too.
Right. You know what that's like when some people enjoy, it's an art form for them of pitting two people because it feeds their ego. Yeah. It feeds that darker side of their ego where there's these 2 women fighting over me, or 2 men, or 2 people. Hell, a dog and a cat. I don't know. It's just people get off on stuff like that. And that's what this sounds like. And you need to cease and desist. You need to block.
The legal terms on it.
Cease and desist him.
It's advice.
Block and delete and keep it moving. Because I'm gonna tell you who would have won the Oscar that night, that day at the barbecue would have been. I don't know this. No, I don't know him either. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, and I would have been just again. You don't need that in your life. That is nothing. No, there's nothing he can say.
A good relationship is hard enough to navigate through.
But you're honest from day one.
Yes,
you're
honest from day one.
We got to talk about some of the old stupid stuff that we used to believe, like don't reveal too much. That's bull. That don't work in 2022, boo-boo.
Let them know everything.
Listen, say this is what it is. It's the game plan. This is where I am. This is what it is.
You got time for nothing else.
Well,
you got time to find out 5 days later.
Yeah.
There's a pothole in this road. I want to know after I get out the driveway.
Right.
So.
Right.
And you'll be surprised. People actually, like, when you tell them, no, this is what I am. This is how I am. This is what I do. You'll be surprised because when you're real, there's more to hold on to. And someone who is actually there for good reasons will understand that you've had a past, you've gone through it, you've come from here to there. They're going to want someone who has emotionally traveled in their life and have now
and
found
if they don't, they're
not the one for you.
They
Well,
not
this
gonna
is
Yeah.
the new dynamic, and it didn't
Mm-hmm.
exist back in the '90s because everybody was trying to romance and try to spin
Yes.
stories and stuff. But because we
Saturday.
live in 7-second, bites of information, right?
Right.
Just
Mm-hmm.
everybody's kind of got short attention spans. Everybody's got collective ADHD. The
Yeah.
new
Yes.
mantra from the mature woman collective is be
Mm-hmm.
100% from the jump.
Real.
And guys are lagging in that. Like, the guys who
Yeah.
are in the dating pool are lagging in that. But the truth is that as an adult, once I kind of grew out of this whole idea of, you got to be Romeo and flowers and all this stuff before you really walk in and know who you're dealing with, is to tell somebody what your real story is. Don't let anybody
Yes.
assume anything. Don't let any facade stand between you and your intentions. And you're both going to be happier if you walk in and say, hey, look, I'm looking to get married eventually, have kids, and this is a job interview for that person. Or
Exactly.
I'm busy, not really that interested in kids. I'm looking at something a little bit more light, a little less, commitment, a little more, on the fun side. Maybe not so permanent, but we'll take it,
Mm-hmm.
as it goes. You would be surprised how many people are on every other sheet of paper that you can imagine. And why
Mm-hmm.
not be with somebody who's on that same piece of paper with you? So you don't have to, and I'm talking to the fellas here, so you don't
Yes.
have to be that predator. You don't have to be that liar. You don't have to be that guy that
Mm-hmm.
spins this yarn in order to get women in bed and all this stuff, but then can't. I mean, I used to listen. I'm giving y'all the inside scoop on dudes. All right, y'all ready for this?
Give it to us. Give it to
Listen,
them. Give it to
and if,
them.
and if anybody who's
Yes.
known me in my 20s, 30s is
Oh
listening, I
boy.
apologize. I'm not going to use your name.
Come
I
on
had
now.
Yes. Don't.
friends who were like this, who just constantly lived in this world of lies and walking between the
Yeah.
raindrops. And as a man, you would not necessarily lie to me, but it'd be like, hey, man, let's go to the mall. Like, which mall? Let's go to Northgate. Oh, I can't go to Northgate. Why not? I only work at Northgate. I can't go to that mall. Like, yo, what
Right.
is the story
They
behind,
got
like, you
casualties
got,
at Northgate.
right, like, there's like places you can't go and events you don't want to be at and campuses you don't want to travel to because there's
Mm-hmm.
like all this yarn of drama you're trying not to trip over. And it's like for regular schlubs like me, and I'm a nerd. I'm pretty damn corny. I'll be the first to tell you this. I don't have the energy to be weaving, a whole bunch of stuff.
Bobbing
I
and
never
weaving.
really understood it. But
Yeah.
there are guys who live there. Like
Yeah.
that's who they are. And they're powerful liars because they
Yes.
believe their own bullshit.
Yeah.
Like they really and truly believe that they're not the bad guy, that every girl is crazy. And she went out, she took it out of context and she went over the top. And I'm
What?
like, listening, but the story you told me leading up to her hitting you with a frying pan justifies the hit with the frying pan. What do you?
Right.
So
She
how
didn't
can
hit you
you?
hard enough.
Right, like
Right.
she didn't knock you out. She was doing it was a symbolic hit, but
Yes. You were
so
owed that hit. You earned that
so
hit.
Earned,
so
not given.
when I talk to women, and I don't have any kids, I don't have any daughters or anything like that who are in the dating age, but or nieces or anything in the dating age.
Yeah.
But the advice I give to people who are asking about is like dudes will lie about anything that they have
Any and
to in order
everything.
to get
Yeah.
with you. And even if it's
Yeah.
just the one or two times,
Just
it's
to
worth
win you
whatever
over.
lies they got to cast. And it's your job to defend yourself and your emotional well
It's that
being by
conquest.
not falling into the trap. And
Yeah.
there's some real talented liars out here
Yeah, there
Yeah.
are.
who
It's
just know
Yeah,
how
acceptable.
to
there are.
say
It's
everything.
acceptable.
And they listen, these brothers, they in the gym right now, getting that bicep just right. So when you
Look at
see
that.
it, you get a little stupider. Your
They
IQ
in there
drop about
working.
Yeah.
30 points.
Working
You're like,
overtime.
you get
That's
one or two
it.
drinks in you, and all of a sudden you're like, I ain't messing
Yes.
with nobody, but they know the scheme,
Yeah.
they know the plan. So
Yeah.
I hate to say this, and this is gonna be me being real cynical, but I think Michigan has already met back up with dude. She's probably
Oh,
already had a
Michigan.
conversation
no.
with him.
Where
Run
She
you
can
back,
write
at?
Michigan right
Michigan.
back to prove me
Michigan
wrong.
can't
I'm
even show up at Michigan need to DM you, Karen Ashley.
I
We
am
need to get
going
a
to
DM.
I really
check
the way
up
she
on
wrote that,
We need a
Michigan
I'm
follow
like,
up.
I
and
feel
We
like
need to
make
Michigan had
follow up.
already
sure.
had the conversation. She picked up the phone.
Yes.
She went and
Yes.
met him at Arby's.
No.
I'm gonna have a little faith.
I'm gonna
You
have
say
faith
Arby's.
that Michigan didn't
Not
do it.
Arby's.
Please, Michigan, don't let us down,
It was
Michigan.
Michigan. Was it
You were
Tom
supposed to
Horton?
wait
Choosing
until
Tom Horton.
Tuesday. Cause I told her I'm gonna use your story. Tune in, you know.
Oh
I'm
boy.
not gonna say your name.
And Michigan can't say
And-
nothing right now because Michigan
Yeah.
is anonymous.
Yes. Well, everybody's anonymous. I don't want anybody to feel any
Right.
kind of way. Because trust me, Michigan, I have been you before.
Right.
I have
This is
caught
no
a guy
judgment. This
in
is
a
no
lie.
judgment.
I have sat there and I even let them tell me I could, just for the sake of it, I needed to hear what they were going to come up with to figure out their way out of that. It was entertainment. I had no intention of.
But you got to be strong enough. You got to be strong enough.
And you got to just know your worth. I think it all boils down to you saying, yeah, and it all boils down to you saying, you know what? I can sit here and listen to the story they're going to cook up to try to get out of it, but I have to know I deserve better. Like this is happening at the very beginning. What's going to happen in 10 years? What's going to happen because the relationships hit the rocky road. Every relationship does, good, bad, or whatever. You go through challenges. What's going to happen when the challenges come? Like, are they going to be honest with you? Are they going to tell you the truth? Are you actually in it together? And I think everyone deserves someone who is going to be in it with them, you know? And if it takes you a long time to find that, it's worth it when you do.
It's worth it.
It is worth it when you do. It. Right. Yes.
Right.
And you know what? We have all kinds of comments coming on here. I will say this: we are not talking about Power Rangers tonight. So we
gotta put that disclaimer.
And relationships. We will do a Power Rangers show to
we have to. So we can. Yes.
AA. He says they don't read about it. He says he's going to ask me on Instagram. Yes, ask me on Instagram. I'm always available for that. But I have another letter from Anonymous from New York.
This is interesting.
Yeah, and this is a guy. I wanted to get a letter from a guy because a lot of these letters are from women. And so when I found one that was from a guy, I wanted to make sure and read his. Now he says, and I'm paraphrasing just because the letter was kind of long. But he basically said that he met this woman. They fell in love. They professed their love. He goes, it was a wonderful, wonderful relationship. They've been dating for about almost close to a year. And he goes, and it's been fun. He goes, she gives me my space. I give her space. But when we come together, we have nothing but fun. He goes, recently we're approaching that 1 year mark. And he was like, and I feel like, we're serious. He goes, but she said, I have something to tell you.
Uh-oh.
Yes. He goes, and all men hate to that we need to talk. They hate that. Don't ever start a sentence with "we need to talk" because it shakes them to their core, ladies. But when they had their talk, she told him that she has 3 kids. Now, they had been dating for more than almost a year. He did not know that she had children. And he said, it's not a matter of her having kids. He gogoes, but how do you date someone? Yeah. He goes, how do you date someone for a year? And we've talked about everything, like we've been on the phone talking all night. He goes, how did you leave that out? And he goes, and of course, here lately we've been arguing because she said, this is why I didn't tell you, because every time a man finds out that I have kids, she tried to flip it on you, New York. She tried to spin it. Don't let her spin it. She basically said, she's gaslighting and basically saying, this is why I've kept it, this is why I've kept it quiet. Men change when they find out you have kids. And I was like, New York, I feel like she is completely gaslighting you. When you come to the table and you have that first date, you say whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you've got kids, whether you're divorced, like these aren't deal breakers these days. People have children. That is not a deal breaker. And that is nothing. And then you get to decide if you want to get involved with a woman who has children. And there's nothing against whether you do or don't, but she made the mistake of keeping that a secret. And you got to wonder, why does someone keep that a secret for so long? Like, that is not good. Christy, your
She's a
mom. I'm gonna
listen.
let you take this one. Who you gonna go first, Christy Renee?
So first of all, like that is classic textbook lying by omission.
Yes, you
That
left it
is
out. Oh,
your kid. And it ain't no mistake. She
yeah,
knew what she was doing, and
yeah.
for whatever reasons, it's trying to like understand a serial killer or
Not a
a
serial
psychopath.
killer.
I mean,
Right, yeah, lie is a lie. A lie is a lie.
yeah, well, and the thing is, I don't need to
Perception.
understand your reasoning or your excuses. The fact is the fact that you lied, and you lied by omission. It still equals a lie. And those are three things that you can't get away with that. And
Three
if you
important
lied about
things.
the three most important, supposed to be most important things or pieces of your life, like I cannot even imagine. I can't
Yeah,
imagine. I mean, I lived it. I have been
yeah,
like, at post divorce and my current relationship, which is my forever relationship. I have to go back.
yeah.
Wait, I got to go back. When Hilton said, how, if your woman is standing across the room glaring at you, this is me on the other side of that joke is when you're looking across the room like I'm feeling like,
Yeah.
why weren't you my first? Why weren't you my first in my
I
life?
told
Like
my husband that if
I
I would
kick
have met
myself.
you, I wouldn't have dated nobody until I met
Nobody
you.
else. Exactly.
If
So
I knew.
Wow.
there's a beautiful flip side to that
Yeah,
joke. But
there is a
again,
beautiful flip side.
even in that, like I came into this with three amazing people that I birthed into this world that I
Yeah.
could not imagine hiding because one, I feel like they are like 1,000 times better than me. And I get bragging rights because I brought them here, but they run circles around me, and that is just part of who I am, and
Yeah.
that's the honest whole
Yeah.
picture right there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I
Yeah.
couldn't have imagined. And again, I'm so, I'm very transparent usually with the
Yeah.
whole kids and
Well,
the thing. So even when my better half right now, like he already knew, like he feels like he watched them be born and grow up
right.
for
He
Christy,
knew it all.
so
I think that
yeah.
brings something else to the forefront that would be the most concerning thing to me is not that you lie, but like there's got to be a really, really good or important reason that you would go through the effort for a year
Right.
to hide that you have kids.
So
So it's
well,
like who is the baby's father? Like
that
maybe
could be
that's a
one.
problem. Like maybe, there's something beyond
Right. Do
these
they
three
know each
kids
other
as
or
objective children
Right.
that exist
I,
that she's trying to protect you from.
but I
Because
also
ultimately, just like you said, that
it
is
could
going to come
be.
out. There's no way you
Yeah.
can hide
It
that
could
forever.
be.
And
Yeah.
that would be the thing that would pop into my mind if somebody had
Yeah.
laid a lie on like that
What
for
was
me.
the
Not that,
long-term goal
like,
with this?
yeah,
Yeah.
like what were you trying
Yeah.
to hide from me other than the kids that is going to be damaging to the long-term prospects of this relationship? Do
Yeah.
you have some crazy ex somewhere that has murdered the last 5 dudes that and you're
And
trying
even
to
Right.
and if that's the case,
you're
I'm
like,
still
Let
mad
me
at you.
know.
Let
Let me
me know.
like,
know. So I
oh
know
no, there
somebody
is
jumped
no
down a
good
bush.
one. But it's but you wonder, beyond the dishonesty and
Yeah.
the what it does to the prospects for future trust. My thing is like, well, why? I remember the movie Ray,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
Ray's mother said, "Scratch a lie, find a thief." Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like the just as important as the lie itself is the why are you lying about this?
Yeah.
There's things that people lie about,
Yeah.
little lies
And
before
here's
you
Right.
really
what.
get to know somebody, and I understand that, and that's all
Right.
well and good. But when you lie about something that's evident, that's just a matter of time before it
The
comes out,
sun is
you had to
green.
know, right?
Like,
And then you're
it
gonna
reminded me
gaslight
of
your
a
way out of it.
2020, like a 2020 special. Like, what was
Right.
going to happen where those kids just disappeared? Like, what was the end game here? Like,
But that's
you
the
know,
thing. And you know what? Ultimately, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say this
it's
real
okay.
quickly.
Say it.
Ultimately, it is her problem and not his. He is
Yes.
free. And I just gotta say, Angie has chimed in again and said,
Run.
run. So
Well,
NYC, you got your orders. Run, baby.
yeah.
That's
She
not for
might be,
Yeah.
you.
she might be the baby mama behind the dude that was at the barbecue in Michigan. You don't know.
Right.
We could have gone full circle
We
here.
could have
This
like
could be a
switched them
big
out.
time.
She need him
We
and he
might have
need
cracked
her.
the
You
case.
need that one.
Oh
You know,
my
because this is the
God.
thing. I've heard where women have like they haven't let that new person meet their kids for an extended amount of time.
That's
That
one
I
thing.
agree
Yeah.
with, but it was never like I've never heard of, you know, I'm gonna pretend that I don't have kids when I've got kids.
Yeah.
And
That's
you
it.
know, I just
Yeah.
don't I always say when you tell a lie, you really have to think about it. What is the end goal? Like at some point, how long, I mean, is it a lie that you got to keep up for the rest of your life? Is it a lie that you know you can explain away in a year? Like that is not a lie. That is,
Anna Delvey.
yes, it's
Yeah.
one of those situations you're never ever going to be able to explain this and like have anything to say that's going to explain why you did not tell the truth. If
Yeah.
anything, she should have just said, I made a terrible mistake. I don't know why I didn't tell you. I thought I would have lost you. I didn't think you'd be into kids. And if she'd have just been like, and even then I would have still been like, girl,
How you
but
do
at
that? Like
least you are telling the truth. You're not going,
at
well,
some
you
point.
know, when somebody finds out, they change, they try to be different. Like you don't, like she was trying to make herself a victim. So I
Right.
think when you do that, you instantly know this is not someone you want to be. Like, you know, they say in the fire, you go, you know, you go through the fire. You don't want to go through the fire with someone who is not going to be there and like be there fully, be there honestly, you know. Hold up. Why did JD Smith, digi artist, say, I prefer not to mention kids, and then when she wakes up one day, I have the kids calling her mom and gaslighting her into, and gaslighting her into thinking they are her kids.
Okay, now that's funny.
JD Smith, digi artist. I know that was a joke. That was actually really
That's
hilarious.
Was
pretty
it though?
funny.
Pretty,
I know.
pretty active on the chat there, JD.
Hey, listen.
Good
So
job, Mom.
I
for
want to read
having-
Victoria's comment. Victoria makes a good point
Whoa.
here because she
Yeah, what is
says
Victoria's point?
she's 38 and she's pretty positive that anyone she meets at this point in her life, they're going to have some kids. So there's no reason to lie about it.
No.
So
None.
it's like, it's one of those things that, again, it speaks to the character, the deeply
maturity.
flawed
Mhm.
character of an individual. And I just hope New York just goes the opposite direction. There's
Yeah.
8 billion people. I know that you can't choose from all those 8 billion, but there's plenty of those that
You'll
are
get
not.
your share though.
Yeah, I mean,
You'll
you're
get
in
your
New
fair
York
share.
for crying out loud. Like, it's just saturated with folk. And when it's time,
Single
it's time.
women. There are a lot of single women in New York.
Exactly. This is
who
not
aren't going to lie about their kids.
eHarmony. They got a guarantee.
I mean, I just think that's a
no points
nasty
to
thing.
count.
There's no excuse.
Yeah.
There's just no excuse for
None.
lying. A year? It's one thing
Almost
to
a
meet
year.
somebody. It's one thing to meet somebody and you're out at a, say for instance, you're out at a restaurant bar or whatever, and you get to talking and you may not ever get around to talking about the kids because you
That
could be
first
the mama,
conversation.
That first conversation. You could be the mama that's like, I'm out here and I ain't talking about them damn kids. Like,
right.
it could be that.
I'm
but
wild, single, and free tonight.
Exactly. That's one time. And then y'all hit it
Lie to me
off.
for one night and you can have whatever you want. But you ain't never gonna see me again.
Tomorrow.
Because I am out of town and I'm living my best life. Like,
But that's not even the case. Like, this
Yeah.
person goes on, and
that's
that
invested time.
that
That's a
says
whole
a
year
lot.
invested of lies.
Lies. You got to lie every time you got to leave. You got to lie every time you can't go somewhere. You're lying because I know
where were these kids when they would talk on the phone late at night or whatever? Like, when you first get in a relationship, you talk for hours.
Somebody coming. You can't be no mama and not be interrupted on a phone call or not be interrupted in the bathroom or whatever.
Smell kids.
They coming to the
No offense. Kids stink. You gotta argue with kids, make them wipe their butts and wash their hands and take a shower.
No,
depending on how old they are, you can spot parents.
No,
whether their kids is with them or not. Like, look at the bags under her eyes. She didn't sleep last night.
I'm gonna put JD Smith, digi artist, on punishment because he said, "Good job, Mom, for having a body after all those kids," and he couldn't tell.
You know
I'm
what?
so mad at you, JD Smith.
I didn't say that.
I
I
am
wasn't
so
gonna say
mad at
nothing.
you.
I was
What is
not
Oh,
that?
gonna say nothing
What
like
is
that.
JD Smith on? That must
I
be on
don't know.
Instagram. I mean, that
No,
must be on YouTube.
I don't know where he's at, but that
I don't know
cracked
where
me up.
that's
Oh
coming
my God,
from.
you're
That's
fired, JD.
hysterical.
You're
Yes.
fired. Okay, so the last story. The last
Oh,
story. We
that's
only got time for
here.
one more. I know. Tamron Hall. We all know her. She's a talk show host, accomplished woman. She is amazing, amazing, amazing. She was on the breakfast show recently and said that her former fiance, she was with him and they went parasailing, so they're on a fabulous vacation, and she could not swim but they went parasailing, and she said, and the bungee cord that like holds you up snapped, and she flew, because the boat is going fast. She flew and hit the water. She said that the man that was working, that who didn't even speak English, jumped in the water. Everybody, like, they turned the boat around. They went to get her. She obviously had a life vest on, but for someone who doesn't know how to swim,
That's
it doesn't
terrifying.
matter if you have a life vest. Even a person, I know how to swim, but if my bungee cord
It's
jumped when I was
terrifying
yeah, it's terrifying. You're
in
in
a
the
big body
deep,
of water.
yeah, you're in
Yes.
a big body of water. This horrible accident has happened. You're probably scared out of your mind. So needless to say, she hit the water. They turned the boat around. People jumped in to help her, but her fiance did not move. He did not move. He did
Thinking,
not
thinking.
jump in to help her. Now, this is someone who has asked you to marry them. They have said, I wanted the good, the bad, the ugly, through sickness and health, through all this stuff. He did not jump in to save her. She said that she did not talk to him, that they went home, and she broke off the engagement. That was a complete deal breaker for her, because she said
Yeah.
he was an ex-lifeguard. He should have jumped in there. Because
Wait
think
a
about it.
I'm
minute.
with
Like,
him. I'm with him.
you wouldn't have
I'm
done
with him.
it?
Okay.
Oh,
You're
I'm with
hor-
him.
you're
Hilton,
I'm with
horrible.
him. I'm
You're
with
Hilton.
him.
horrible.
Oh my God, Hilton.
Listen,
Say it
listen.
isn't so. Say
It's
it
so.
isn't
It's
so.
so deaf. Listen, I'm telling you. These are situations where you got to think with this and not this in the panic, right?
In the heart, yeah.
So you're on a boat, you're in the ocean.
Yes.
Being a
Yes.
lifeguard or being a trained lifeguard does not necessarily mean he knows how to ocean lifeguard. And lifeguards work on the beach. They don't work out on the open water. So open water is a different animal from what you do on the beach. He's assuming that he was a beach lifeguard. So just having the lifeguard stuff, because I used to be a lifeguard, trust me, you can drown messing around with the wrong water and the wrong person in the wrong situation. More lifeguards drown in pools than people half the time, and that's the truth. Now, he probably knew that the person who was operating that boat knew how to save people who fell into the water. Why? Because he does this for a living. And they probably, now she didn't get into
Oh,
it, but I would
Hilton.
imagine that there's licensing and there's training and all kind of stuff that you have to do to have a license to do that. So let's just stipulate that.
Okay.
So she goes in the water. He jumps over and he probably got one of them little rings or lifesavers or something, and he's doing this thing. And then this dude, we don't know how long ago he was a lifeguard. Could have been 20 years. He could be out of shape, have a bad leg, whatever it is, right? He could have probably just had a ham sandwich. You want to cramp up,
Oh, he
whatever
gonna
his
catch a
reason.
cramp, Hilton.
He jumped in the water. This dude might have two people to save, because you out here playing macho man out here in the water, don't know nothing about currents, don't know nothing about sharks, don't know nothing about waves, don't know nothing about all this stuff.
Hilton.
Now you did.
Hilton, what?
And making this poor
Now
lifeguard
you
decide
both
one or
dead.
the other. Now it's not like nobody jumped in the
Not the
water.
way
It's
you
not like
say.
she didn't get saved, and I think that's the important thing to remember.
Yes.
But it's the same scenario. Like if you had a heart attack on the floor, you was walking, me and you on a date, you fell out, and you was clutching your chest and stuff. But I don't have.
You're not gonna give your date mouth to mouth.
If I don't know what I'm doing, it could be doing more harm than good. If I don't know what I'm doing,
I'm
and
so
a
done.
paramedic is right here and is doing the chest compressions and stuff, and then you wake up and there's a paramedic over, you're gonna be, why did my husband not save
Well,
me
no, but
from the thing? Like
I think if you
same thing.
wouldn't have
It's
done
the
anything,
exact
okay, you
same.
think it is not exact. Hilton, this is the first time we are going to disagree.
Hilton.
Christi,
Telling you,
I'm gonna let
get
you
the
take it
husbands on,
first.
get the husbands on the show.
No.
All
And
I
I'm telling
know,
you,
all I know is, let me say this: Charlemagne, he was doing what you were doing. He was like, "Oh," but like the other guy, what's the other guy on the show? He said, "I would have jumped in for my wife." I would have jumped in. I would have. I would have went over there. I'm gonna jump in. My wife falls off the edge of anything. I'm gonna try to save her as to the best of my ability.
A building?
Well, I think if he. Well, come on, but I think
I'm like,
when she fell in the water,
you
you're gonna jump in. Like your reaction. Like let's say, what if it was your kid? What if it was your child? And your child fell into the water. A mother, a father is going to jump in that water.
Life-saving professional standing here, and if I'm the only person, sure, definitely.
But how you know that person in Mexico who?
Well, I don't know that, but he obviously saved her.
I don't know that they are life-saving people.
Well, he obviously saved her, so they must have So I'm gonna say if it's just me and my partner and she fall in the water or whatever. I would jump in to save you, right? That's But if there's professionals,
two things.
Christy,
three things.
Three things.
Hilton, you fired. Number two, JD Smith, you are a damn mess. I'm just gonna say that. He said that was the golden opportunity because that dude wanted out of the relationship.
He was out.
Which means
he was like,
which means,
man, rest in peace, girl.
And finally, Angie, you fired too because she talking about she agrees with Hilton.
She agrees with Hilton.
That's Angie. That's Angie right here. So listen, y'all crazy. I think, first of all, the way she said it was like he just absolutely didn't budge. And again, here's the thing. It is so terrifying because again, remember that same brilliant daughter I mentioned earlier? Well, when she was about 7, she had me we were on a sea-doo in the middle of a lake out in East Texas somewhere.
Yeah.
And she took off and I flipped off. I had this dumb, brilliant idea to get on I tied a rope from the back of the Sea-Doo to like this disc you could lay on and be drug around the lake. Yeah, well, when you take off on a Sea-Doo, you flip up in the air. Yes. And I ended up in the middle of the lake, and she had drove that Sea-Doo down I-30 to get back to Dallas, and left me before she realized. I mean, she was halfway to the highway before she realized, oh, mom's not on the back. But it was payback because I had flipped her just a moment before. But anyway, I say this to say it's a scary thing. And here's the thing. If that man was a lifeguard and all of this, and he had some experience, all you have to have is a little bit of experience in being in water. It doesn't require, those people driving those boats are not, medically trained to go and save marine life.
A little bit of karate and get your butt kicked.
You know what?
No,
I think
a little bit of karate.
He should have been hanging off the edge and been
something
like throwing the rope. Do it like she. Like
she didn't say he didn't do that. He was probably giving moral support.
He said he didn't budge.
He did not budge, and she said I came up out of the water and we caught eyes, and he just stood there looking, and like I guess he was in shock or something.
Like you good?
I think there's more to be said about the fact that if you've ever seen those parasails, you're not like right behind the boat. You like
I would never parasail.
The fact that she is plummeting to her death, or what she might think is her death, in waters that can have anything or whatever in it.
You hit that water, it feels like concrete.
And she has the presence of mind to judge his body language on the way down.
Hilton,
he might have dodged the bullet because if she's doing that in a life or death situation. She's doing it when you making eggs in the morning. She's doing it when you driving. She's over here looking at driving. Oh, you just gonna change lanes without using your signal? You endanger my pull over.
You know what?
I mean, you don't never. He might be the winner. He might be the winner in this. He could be the winner.
Where is Hilton? Where is the significant other? Because that's gonna answer this whole question right here. She drowned. Exactly.
Oh no!
I don't know why this is
no longer here. Dang it, rest in peace, girl.
That's exactly what I was looking for. That's exactly what I was looking for. Hilton is the only one out here that ain't rescuing nobody, and Hilton ain't got nobody. Ladies, he's available, y'all.
If it was just me,
Hilton single,
and she fell in the water,
obviously,
then I would save her. But if it is a professional who knows how to get it, because she's in a harness with all these cables and a parachute. Is all kind of. I've seen this video game before. This is how you go out there with the best of intentions and end up killing more people because you was trying too hard
if you
to be
all
a
have
hero.
on life jackets, there's a good chance that everybody, but you still jump in and try to.
I need you to make some effort. You just got to have more than a deer in headlights, effort.
I give you the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, and we shall pray.
Man.
You know what,
guys?
That ain't even. Let me tell you. Look,
I'll even give you the Italian prayer. I'll be like,
oh no, you and JD Smith, y'all are in punishment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think we are for the first. We are divided on the panel.
Yeah.
I am like,
but I think we win. Listen, out of the three of us, you and I win. And
yes,
I'm
two against
outvoted.
one.
I'm
you are
outvoted. We have to get JD on the show so I get a shot.
JD is hilarious. JD is giving some feedback that is classic.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Okay, so guys, we're gonna end on that note. Do not ride on a boat with Hilton.
I'll let you know.
He is not gonna jump in for you.
Save yourself, ladies. Save yourself.
Save yourself. The water gets choppy over there on the Hilton George Island.
And listen, and Angie gets the last comment. Someone has to be alive to tell the story.
Oh man.
there's no need for both of us to drown.
That's someone. Oh, Angie, you are fired. You and Hilton are. I'm gonna send you to the Hilton George Island.
But what
my island ain't got no water around. It's just a hill in the middle of the water.
And here's the thing. I will say this. Angie telling the truth, because I know who would jump in the water, and that's Karan Ashley. Because Karan Ashley, I've seen her jump like a spider monkey and to my rescue when I was having a bad dream. So I know that she will jump in the water. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I love the love.
Guys, ladies, women, but if you learn nothing else from this show about love and relationships, tell each other the truth. Just be yourself and go out there, have a good time. Don't put so much pressure on these relationships. But if you get a series of red flags, listen. Most of the time, people tell you exactly who they are. So pay attention. So anyways, we love you guys. We mean it. We can't wait to talk to you guys again. We are the BOP, the BLERD official podcast. See you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye, y'all.